They nail the horror presentation of this game. The intro alone blew me away. I mean, it gave me goosies, especially with that "what's gonna happen next" Stranger Things like soundtrack behind it. It really gets you locked in. Nosferatu has stolen your love, and you ride into Transylvania on horseback, going through castles on the way to save her, and you fight anything that gets in your way. And you do that with your bare hands. Which, what an alpha move to ride into a vampire's castle on horseback just to take care of business with only your God-given dukes. Nosferatu would fall under the category of cinematic platformer, and what that means is the devs said watching your characters jumping, falling, climbing, and slowing down animations are more important than the responsiveness of your controls. With these slow to respond controls, you'll fight vampire minions, Frankenstein, axe-wielding zombies, and other menacing or weird-looking baddies like this floating chungus right here. This game plays like Prince of Persia or Blackthorn, where they're stiff and slow, and some people like, but regular people don't, so it'll take some getting used to. Now the jumping is more forgiving than Blackthorn, so thank God for that. In each castle you'll open gates, move crates, avoid traps, all while beating up enemies with a combo of punches and kicks. You can plunder these red chests for 3 different types of crystals, green giving you more health, blue extending your health, and red increasing your attack combos and a time extender. Just make sure you really dig deep and search that chest more than once because it can have multiple loots in there. The red attack crystals can also be awarded by beating up enemies, but be careful because if you get done up by one, you'll lose those crystals. The boss battles after each stage take place outside the castle, which is a nice change of scenery and checks all of those horror boxes, like here where you face a hunchback werewolf. Not only is the presentation and werewolf transformation awesome, if the fight goes on too long and the moon turns full, the werewolf's health is refilled, and I eat up small sprinkles like that. After these boss battles, you'll get an eerie cutscene, and these scenes really impress me with the small details. Then you'll advance to a new stage on the map as you get closer to Nosferatu's main castle. I guess these first few castles are his rent houses, or maybe there were normal folks living there and then they bailed when they realized who their neighbor was, or they got by the big man. Not really sure. This game is difficult. There's hazards everywhere and some give you 0 time to react, so there's a lot of die and retry. Like here, how are you supposed to know that that platform is going to break and crumble? It looks like just the rest of the floor. So you'll just have to memorize where to step and where to jump. And don't forget those precise controls like this, how you have to align yourself perfectly with a ledge to jump up. I mean, that's ridiculous. Or how you have to press forward twice in a row to sprint, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And you really can't stop when you want to either. So basically, you're going to get real familiar with this screen. So you're going to want to go ahead and apologize to your controller ahead of time because you're going to want to spike it with traps and spikes everywhere combined with controls like this. Good thing is, you have a timer going on at all times just to add to your stress level and make it to where you can't take the time to practice your moves. But to die in such terrible ways in being a horror vampire game, there is no blood or spice for each death, which is kind of surprising. I would have liked to see a death with blood and vampires coming down like vultures and it fade to black or something, but maybe I'm asking too much. Speaking of dying, this game has no password system and no save system, but you have unlimited continues. But check this out. This game has 2 endings based on how many continues you used in completing the game. If you abused that unlimited continue system and barely survived, you'll get a nasty ending. If you used the continue feature 7 or less times, then you get a good ending. Don't ask me what the good ending is. Now, I've seen it, but you're just not going to see it on this channel. It took me 8 continues for the final boss battle against Nosferatu alone. So if you beat the game in 7 or less continues, you rescue your wife and you ride off into the sunset. If it takes you more than 7 continues to complete, then your wife bites you and turns you into a vampire. You'll know you'll hit too many continues during this screen because on the 8th one, your wife's smile includes fangs, and that is hard. What flair, and hats off to whoever thought of it. But the option of beating the game for the good ending gives it that replay value for those expert gamers out there. The presentation overall is everything you'd want in a vampire castle adventure, and the precision platforming hurts, but I got to admit it makes Kyle seem more real and more human, so they achieved what they were aiming for. The art and the music really impressed me. It's got a criminally underrated soundtrack because I've never heard of anyone talk about it. I almost want to give Nosferatu the coveted title of a hidden gem, especially with how they got the creepy castle backgrounds and flickering torches right, but the difficulty is holding me back. But I'm still playing it even after this video, so there's something to say to that. So maybe I'll come back to this game later. As a fan of retro horror, this is one that would be worth checking out, especially since there's not many titles in the genre. Just beware of the most dreadful part of this spooky title, the difficulty. So, would a mediocre gamer like Nosferatu? The answer is yes.
stuff.